I found out my wife was cheating, and the way I learned broke me completely. I swear to God, I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this. But here we are. My name's Ethan Miller. I'm 34, born and raised in Austin, Texas, and for the past 7 years, I thought I had the perfect marriage with my wife, Rachel. We met back in college at UT Austin, fell hard, got married when I was 27, and I honestly thought we were that couple. You know, the ones that friends point to and say, damn, they really figured it out. Turns out, I was a complete idiot. Rachel's 31 now. She works as a project manager at a software firm downtown near Congress Avenue, while I run my own small landscaping business with 2 buddies. We bought a modest home just outside the city in Round Rock, quiet neighborhood, family-friendly, cul-de-sac with kids riding bikes and neighbors who barbecue on Sundays. It was the kind of life you dream about when you're in your 20s, broke, and eating instant ramen. But apparently, my dream was just mine, not hers. It started off small. You ever notice those tiny cracks that don't seem like a big deal until suddenly the whole damn wall collapses? That was us. Rachel used to be glued to me. Like, she'd text me when she was on her lunch break, call me on her way home. We'd binge Netflix together till midnight. Then, around last fall, something changed. She started working late, more often. At first, I believed her. Her company had this big client in Dallas, and she told me they were putting in extra hours. Okay, cool, I get it. But then it got weird. She'd come home around 10, sometimes later, hair perfectly done, makeup still fresh, not looking like someone who just spent 12 hours grinding through spreadsheets. And she always had some excuse, traffic, deadlines. We all went out for drinks after. One night in November, she said she was going to the Roosevelt Room, this fancy cocktail bar downtown, for a team happy hour. I didn't think much of it until she stumbled in at 1 a.m., heels in her hand, smelling like whiskey and perfume. I asked if she had fun, and she snapped, "Why do you always have to interrogate me?" That was the first time she ever used that word. Interrogate. My gut started screaming. I tried to brush it off. I told myself she was just stressed, that she deserved to have fun with coworkers. But my gut, man, it wouldn't shut up. She got super protective of her phone. Rachel used to leave it lying around the kitchen counter, no password, nothing. Suddenly, she had Face ID, thumbprint lock, and that thing was practically glued to her. She'd take it into the bathroom, the shower, even when she was just taking out the trash. And then there was this guy, Jason. I only knew his name because she mentioned him once, saying, "Jason's the new senior account manager. He's married, don't worry." And that right there should have been my first clue. Why the hell would she throw and he's married? Unless she already knew, I'd wonder. I never met him, but I saw his name pop up on her phone screen one night when she thought I was asleep. 11:47 p.m., and she's texting Jason's sunglasses. I asked who it was, and she rolled over and muttered, "Work stuff, babe, go to sleep." My stomach dropped. It was late January when it all came crashing down. Rachel said she had a conference call at 8 p.m. with the Dallas client, and she'd be in the home office for about an hour. Fine, no problem. I made myself a frozen pizza, cracked open a Shiner Bock, and started watching the Spurs game. About 20 minutes in, I realized she hadn't brought her laptop into the office. That struck me as weird. She always dragged that thing around when she worked. So, curiosity got the best of me. I walked down the hall, as quiet as possible, and peeked through the crack of the door. She wasn't on a call. She was sitting cross-legged on the office chair, her phone in her hand, smiling like a teenager, giggling, whispering. My chest felt like it was caving in. I heard her say, "I can't wait till next week." The Driscoll again? God, you're so bad. Stop it, Jason. The Driscoll. For anyone not from Austin, that's a historic hotel downtown, super old school, super romantic. Rachel and I had stayed there on our 5th anniversary. She was planning to meet him there. I stormed in. I didn't even care at that point. I kicked the door open and shouted, "What the hell is going on, Rachel?" Her face went pale, like she'd just seen a ghost. She scrambled, tried to lock her phone, but I snatched it out of her hand. "Give it back," she screamed, jumping up. I said, "Who the hell is Jason, and why are you meeting him at the Driscoll?" She froze. Tears welled up instantly, and she started babbling. "Ethan, it's not what it looks like." Bullshit. We both knew exactly what it looked like. I unlocked her phone with her thumb before she could stop me, And there it was. A flood of texts, weeks worth. Photos. Some were just him at bars, smiling. But others? Jesus Christ. Him kissing her cheek. Her in a dress I'd never even seen before. One shot of them holding hands across a table at Matt's El Rancho, a Mexican restaurant we used to go to every Friday night. My hand was shaking so bad, I almost dropped the phone. "You've been screwing him, haven't you?" I yelled. She broke down sobbing, grabbed at my shirt, begging me not to overreact. Overreact? Are you kidding me? It got loud. Real loud. We went at it. Screaming, cursing, me calling her every name in the book, her crying and saying she never meant for this to happen. At one point, I punched the wall so hard my knuckles split open. Next thing I know, there's a knock on the door. Our neighbors, the Hendersons, had called the cops. Yeah, 2 cops from Round Rock PD showed up at my house that night because my wife couldn't keep her legs closed at work. They pulled me aside, asked if I'd hit her. I hadn't, of course, but they still warned me to keep it down. Standing there with blood dripping from my hand, I probably didn't look too innocent. Meanwhile, Rachel sat on the couch, sobbing like she was the victim. That was the night I realized my marriage was basically over. The cops left after about 20 minutes. They made me promise I'd keep things civil, even though inside I was ready to explode. My hand was bleeding, my marriage was in flames, and Rachel sat there acting like she was the one who'd been betrayed. I went into the kitchen, wrapped a towel around my knuckles, and just stared at the counter. For years, she'd stood right there making pancakes on Sunday mornings, laughing, dancing around in her socks while music played. And now, all I could see was her sitting across from Jason at Matt's El Rancho, giving him that same smile she used to give me. I didn't sleep. I stayed up on the couch, staring at the ceiling, scrolling through her texts over and over. It wasn't just a fling. They were talking about the future, about maybe moving to Dallas together if things worked out. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning an escape route. At around 6 a.m., Rachel came out of the bedroom, eyes puffy, makeup smeared. She sat on the edge of the couch and whispered, "Ethan, please. Can we just talk about this?" I laughed. A bitter, hollow laugh. Talk? What the hell is left to talk about, Rachel? You've been screwing Jason for months behind my back. You lied to me every single day. Do you realize how pathetic I look? She grabbed my arm, desperate. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. Jason makes me feel. I snapped. Don't you dare finish that sentence. Don't you dare tell me how he makes you feel. Because you know what? You threw away our marriage for a guy you met at work. A guy with a wife of his own. Her face went white. I'd caught her. Yeah, I said. I'm not an idiot, Rachel. I saw the texts. He's married. You're not only destroying me, you're wrecking someone else's life too. She broke down again, sobbing into her hands. The next few days were hell. Rachel swore she'd end it with Jason, but I couldn't trust a damn word out of her mouth. Every time she left the house, I wondered if she was meeting him. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. Found a guy named Carl Jennings, an ex-cop who worked out of a dingy little office on Guadalupe Street. He charged me $85 an hour, and within 4 days, he had photos. Rachel and Jason, walking out of the Domain shopping center, holding hands. Sitting together at Perry's Steakhouse, drinking wine. And the final nail in the coffin. Checking into the Driscoll at 8:45 p.m. on a Thursday night. Carl slid the photos across the table to me like some scene out of a detective movie. I want to puke. That Friday night, I waited for Rachel to come home. She walked through the door at 11 p.m., wearing that same red dress from the photos. I tossed the manila envelope onto the kitchen island. Go ahead. Open it. Her hand shook as she pulled out the pictures. She didn't even try to deny it this time. She just whispered, "Ethan, I'm sorry. Sorry." I slammed my fist on the counter so hard she jumped. You've been living a double life for months. Do you know what that does to a man? Do you know what it's like to see your wife smiling at another guy the way she used to smile at you? She cried, begged me to forgive her, swore she'd cut it off. But I couldn't hear it anymore. My chest was on fire, my ears ringing. And then, like fate wanted to twist the knife deeper, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered, and a woman's voice said, "Is this Ethan Miller?" "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Emily, Jason's wife." My blood ran cold. Emily had found out too. She'd seen Jason's texts when he left his phone in their bathroom. She tracked down my number because Rachel's name kept popping up. She told me everything. How Jason had been lying to her for almost a year. How he promised he'd leave me and her both. How he swore Rachel was the one. By the time I hung up, I was shaking. This wasn't just my marriage imploding. It was two families going down in flames. Rachel sat across from me, face blotchy from crying. I looked at her and said, "You know what? Tomorrow, we're going to make this real simple. You're going to pack your bags. Because I'm done. We're done." She begged, screamed, said I was throwing everything away. I told her she already had. The next day, things went nuclear. Rachel refused to leave. She locked herself in the bedroom, blasting music, crying so loud the neighbors probably heard every word. I pounded on the door, yelling for her to get out. At one point, she stormed out, grabbed my phone, and tried to delete the photos. I wrestled it out of her hands, and we ended up screaming at each other in the middle of the living room like lunatics. "You destroyed this marriage," I shouted. "You never listened to me," she screamed back. "You blame me for your cheating. You never made me feel like I mattered anymore." It was chaos. Voices echoing, fists slamming on walls, her throwing a glass across the room so it shattered on the tile. And then, like some twisted déjà vu, sirens. The cops showed up again. Same officers as before. They walked inside and said, "Mr. and Mrs. Miller, we've already been here once this month." "What's going on?" Rachel tried to spin it, said we were just having a disagreement. But the cops weren't buying it. One of them pulled me aside and said, "Ethan, maybe you should stay somewhere else tonight. Just cool off." Cool off? My life was burning down, and they wanted me to cool off. That night, I grabbed a duffel bag, stuffed it with clothes, and drove to my buddy Jake's apartment in South Austin. I crashed on his couch, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything. The betrayal, the lies, the fact that the woman I'd loved since college had been sneaking around like some teenager. And worst of all, I still loved her. Somewhere under all that anger, under all that pain, I still wanted to believe this wasn't real. That I'd wake up and it'd all be a nightmare. But it was real. And tomorrow, I was filing for divorce. A week later, I was driving downtown near 6th Street when fate decided to screw with me again. I spotted Jason himself, standing outside the Roosevelt Room, laughing with a couple coworkers. I recognized him instantly from the photos Carl had given me. Something in me snapped. I pulled over, slammed my door, and marched straight toward him. "Jason!" I shouted. He turned, confused at first, then his smirk disappeared. "Ethan, right? Look, man." I didn't let him finish. I shoved him hard in the chest, sending his drink splattering on the sidewalk. People around us gasped. Phones came out recording. "You think you can just steal my wife and wreck my life?" I yelled. Jason threw up his hands, trying to play calm. "Hey, chill, man. Rachel told me you two were basically done. She said you were sleeping on the couch for months, that you didn't even touch her anymore." My vision went red. "She lied, and you knew it." He straightened up, got cocky. "Maybe if you treated her better, she wouldn't have come to me." That was it. I swung at him, caught him right on the jaw. He stumbled back, bleeding from his lip. A couple guys jumped in, pulling us apart before I could land another hit. The cops showed up again, because of course they did. Luckily, they didn't arrest me, but they warned me this was strike two. I walked away shaking, adrenaline buzzing, humiliated and furious. That night, Rachel came by Jake's apartment unannounced. She banged on the door until I let her in. She looked like hell. Hair a mess, mascara running. "Ethan, please," she begged, collapsing onto the couch. I ended it with Jason. "I swear. I told him I can't do this anymore. You're my husband. I love you." I just stared at her. This woman I'd shared a bed with for 7 years, the woman I thought was my forever, was now just a stranger who'd blown up my entire world. "You love me," I said. "You love me enough to lie every day for months? To sneak off to hotels and restaurants we used to go to? To let another man touch you, and then come home and kiss me like nothing happened?" She sobbed, grabbing at my hands. "It was a mistake, Ethan. I was lost. Please, we can go to counseling. We can fix this." I pulled my hand away. "Rachel, the only thing that needs fixing is the lock on the door after you move out." Her face hardened, tears drying instantly. You're really going to throw away everything we built? Over one mistake. One mistake. I snapped. It wasn't one night, Rachel. It was months. Months of betrayal. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And you made it over and over again. She screamed then, high-pitched, furious, knocking over a lamp as she stormed out. The neighbors pounded on the wall, shouting for us to shut up. It felt like my entire life had turned into one endless public meltdown. 2 weeks later, I filed for divorce at the Travis County Courthouse. My lawyer, a sharp guy named Mark Henderson, didn't sugarcoat anything. Given the evidence you've got, texts, photos, even witness statements, you're in a strong position, Ethan. But brace yourself. These things get messy. Messy was an understatement. Rachel fought for the house, even though she was the one who blew up the marriage. She tried to paint me as unstable because of the cops being called twice. Jason even gave a statement claiming I assaulted him without provocation. It dragged on for 3 brutal months. Every court date felt like ripping the bandage off a wound that never healed. But in the end, the judge sided with me. I kept the house. Rachel got her car, some furniture, and whatever dignity she had left. The day the divorce was finalized, I walked out of the courthouse into the blazing Texas sun and felt empty. Not relieved, not happy, just hollow, like someone had scooped out my insides and left a shell behind. Word spread through our neighborhood fast. Some people took my side, some whispered that I'd lost it, that I was too aggressive, too hot-headed. Honestly, I didn't care. Rachel moved to Dallas a month later. I heard through a friend that she tried to get back with Jason, but his wife, Emily, had already divorced him and taken half his stuff. So Jason wasn't exactly in a position to play Prince Charming anymore. Funny how cheaters always think the grass is greener until they're standing knee-deep in mud. Some nights I still sit on the porch with a beer, looking at the quiet street where kids ride their bikes, and I wonder, was there something I missed? Some sign earlier, some way I could have stopped it? But deep down, I know the truth. Rachel made her choices. She chose to lie, to betray, to destroy. And me? I chose to finally walk away. So yeah, that's my story. That's how I found out my wife of 7 years was cheating, how I caught her red-handed, and how I lost everything and somehow came out stronger on the other side. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. This wasn't easy to tell, but maybe it helps someone else out there going through the same hell. Drop a comment below. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Do you think I should have fought harder for the marriage? Or did I make the right call by ending it? And hey, if you want to hear more stories like this, hit that subscribe button and join me for the next chapter.